In this video, I'm going to be sharing 8 tips for incoming freshmen, sophomores, and juniors in high school. A lot of these videos say things like, make new friends, try your best, go out of your comfort zone, but they don't really go into how. So as someone who just finished my junior year of high school, I'm going to show you my top 8 tips. Let's get right into it. So the first tip is if your school has a no backpack policy. If your school allows backpacks, you can go ahead and skip to tip number 2, but this is for if your school does not allow any backpacks. But with a no backpack policy, you're supposed to put everything in your locker and you're supposed to carry just what you need to every class. And that's kind of hard to do because you're trying to figure out how to carry everything you need without having to go to your locker after every single class, and that just wastes a lot of time. So it took me a while to find a system that worked for me to carry all my essentials. So my freshman year of high school, I got this bulky binder, and I thought it would fit a lot of stuff, and it did, but it wasn't really the best system for me. But it's a binder that has a pocket in the front. You got a little folder thing here, and then as you open it, it works like a binder. It has a binder ring and just more mesh pockets and other folder stuff. As you can see, I think I overestimated the size of this, and I ended up putting a lot of stuff. So every time I would close it, this zipper wouldn't actually zip because there was just so much stuff in here that I wanted to fit in, and it just didn't really work. And also putting in my pencils, highlighters, and pens in here wasn't really the best because there's holes in these pockets. So as you can see, this system didn't really work for me. So that's when I moved to something halfway throughout my sophomore year of high school where I finally found a system that worked for me. And I'm just going to show you. It's basically having a laptop case where I would store my laptop and stuff with a binder right here. I just paired these two together to carry all my stuff, and it worked pretty well. It didn't feel as bulky because these are a lot thinner. So in my laptop pouch, I would have my laptop in here, and there's also a small pouch right here. So this is where I put all my pencils, my pens, my highlighters, my calculator, even books that I needed for English class. So this helped a ton. And then with the binder, this is a 1-inch binder, I think. In the binder, I just had a 3 subject notebook and a folder. So the folder had all my handouts, and this was to take notes. So it really just depends on your preference and what works for you and what your classes require. If you're able to just take notes on your computer, then you probably won't need that notebook in there. But just find a system that works for you to carry all your essentials. Some people like to carry tote bags instead, just so they can wrap it around their shoulder and carry it with them. But just find a system that works for you, and this is going to help you so much if you're able to find that system sooner than later. Okay, we made it to tip number 2. This is the most important tip in my opinion of this entire video, is to have an online to-do list. So having an online to-do list will help you get all your assignments done in time and just know where everything is at for each class. So I'm going to show you the exact to-do list that I made on my computer in my junior year. Okay, for this one, you could use Google Calendar, but for me, I just used Google Docs because it was just something that was easier. I had a lot of my assignments on Google Docs already, so just to have it up there with my other assignments just made it so much easier. To-do list from my semester 2, so this is the most recent one, and I separated all my assignments by each week. So a Google Doc just makes it easy, so you can easily type in what you need to do, and then you can easily check it or uncheck it. You can put in when it's due, and you can add in like extra stuff on how to study for it. So let's just say you have like a resource number 1, and then you can go ahead and add like a link to it to say what you want. A Google Doc just makes it easy to just edit and just add on to, so you don't have to do any erasing or recreate another assignment. I just had a bunch of assignments from different classes, and what I did was I typed out the assignment name and I put the due date, and I ordered them from what was due first to what was due later, and that just helped me prioritize what I need to get done first. So as you can see, I put like, oh, complete these note cards on this day, bring in this book for this class, a lab assignment that I need to fill out, and I even put a link in there so I could just quickly click on it and work on it and then turn it in whenever I needed. So this is just a way for you to put everything in that you need and just have everything all at once so you can just look at it. And here I had an interim, so I put what the interim was and ways to study for it, and then you could just like check it off when you get it done. So this just helped me so much. It made junior year so much easier. So yeah, this is my most important tip. Now we're gonna move on to tip number 3, and that is to use outside study resources, especially with how the internet is now, where you're just able to access everything and you can find just about anything online. You don't have to be limited to what your teacher gives you to study. If you have a test to study for, search a practice test, look it up online, and do some of those. That's going to help you a lot, especially if you have a teacher that doesn't really give you resources. Don't feel like you're just not going to have any resources to use. If you're studying vocab, you can look at a Quizlet, you can look at different note cards, you can find different ways to study. If you're not understanding a concept, you can search it up on YouTube, watch a video to help you understand. There are so many different ways to study for things, so don't feel like you are limited to just that set that your teacher gives you. Okay, tip number 4, these are more about choosing what classes you want for the future. So high school is cumulative, which means it doesn't reset every single year. Like, you're not going to be able to restart over and over for every single year. You're going to have to reflect back on what you've done in the past in high school in order to choose what you're going to do in your future years of high school. So a lot of this has to do with what classes you pick. Understand your strengths and understand your weaknesses. So I know that I do a lot better in math and science classes compared to English and history classes, which is why I took honors and APs in those subjects compared to basic English classes and basic social studies. Don't feel like you have to do all honors for every single subject. Follow your strengths and follow your weaknesses. And I knew I made the right choice when I got 100% on my honors math final and a 90% on my basic English final. So this is just something to keep in mind when you're choosing classes for your future years, because a lot of what you choose is going to have to play a part in your GPA. You always have to keep your GPA in mind, even though that's not what all colleges look at. You got to keep it in mind still. So make sure you're choosing classes that are able to challenge you but not push you to the point where you have to sacrifice your GPA for it. This is also good if you're figuring out how to choose your AP classes and off periods. Up to you how you want to balance your schedule. For me, I feel like every 2 or 3 AP classes you take, you should take at least 1 off period. That's going to help you get things done and have more balance, just because you don't want to overload your schedule, especially if it's going to be in your junior year. I don't know what number we're on, but for the next tip, always do extra credit. It doesn't matter if you have an A in the class, if you have a C in that class, do the extra credit. The only exception for not doing the extra credit is probably if you know you're still going to keep an A if you don't do the extra credit, or if you do. Like, if you know your grade's going to stay the same at an A. If you have a B, there might be a chance you could get it back to an A. But there's no security that you'll always have an A, so that's why I like to always do the extra credit. And most of the times the extra credit helps you understand the material better or the unit better, because it goes with the same kind of thing. A lot of the extra credits tend to be study guides for upcoming tests, and I always like to do that. I don't care if I have a 98% in the class, I will be doing that extra credit, because if it's for a study guide, it's going to help me on the test. So do the extra credit when you can. And obviously if you have other assignments to get done and other things to prioritize, then you don't have to feel forced to do the extra credit, but I definitely recommend it if you ever have the time. Tip number 7, and then we're going to go to tip number 8, which is more junior specific. So if you're an upcoming junior, make sure you wait for the last tip. Everyone experiences high school differently, so don't go off of what people are saying. Like, don't be afraid of junior year because everyone says it's the hardest year. For me, sophomore year was more content difficult versus junior year, which was more workload difficult. So sophomore year, I felt like I was taking more classes with concepts that were more difficult to understand, and I felt like I kind of had to teach myself, which made it difficult in my opinion. So I was like a lot more stressed during that time. I think I cried 2 times during that year. And then junior year, I didn't cry at all, but it's just because I had more things that I was just understanding, I guess, and it was more workload heavy. I just had more work to get done, but with that off period, it just never felt stressful because I was always getting things done in time, and especially with that to-do list too. I took classes that interested me, even if I had no friends in those classes. Each school year is kind of how you make it. So my junior year was a solid year. I discovered a lot more about myself. Okay, for the last tip, this is more junior specific, but get to know your teachers better. I'm still following this because I saw my senior year left, but get to know your teachers better, because These are probably going to be the teachers that you're going to be asking for your letter of recs. The more they know about you, the better letter of recommendations you're probably going to get. So take the time to know your teachers in your junior year, and if you can, try to get the same teacher as your junior year in your senior year. I know that's not always a possibility, but if you're able to, then that's also a plus. Some things to get to know your teachers better. You don't have to be that student that sits by their desk and always talks to them or anything. You just kind of have to be more involved in your own way. So I don't know, simple things like always saying hi to them in the hallway, asking questions, like you can come in before class or after class to ask questions. It shows your teacher that you care about your classes and your future, so ask them questions when you have them. Yeah, you basically just want to give them things to write about. Another key thing is to write thank you letters to all your junior teachers at the end of the year, or at least the teachers that you are planning to ask for letter recommendations. A thank you letter kind of gives them a lasting impression of you. And those are all my tips for incoming freshmen, sophomores, and juniors.